On the morning of May 12, 2007, a spring field trip was organized by Erinsdale High School, a small school nestled in the remote mountains of British Columbia, Canada. The event was never mentioned in the media, and there were no posts on social media, as most of the students came from isolated indigenous communities, almost completely disconnected from the modern world. A total of 350 students, aged 12 to 17, along with 15 teachers and support staff, were taken aboard a medium-sized cruise ship called Morning Sparrow, privately chartered from a river touring company named Redline Exploration. The trip was planned to last 3 days, following the course of the Coachella River, an old, nearly forgotten waterway that had not appeared on official maps since 1965. According to historical records, the river was closed due to unstable hydraulic anomalies, though no clear explanation was ever provided. The group leader, Ms. Melina Cross, a teacher of classical literature, wrote a notable line in her journal. "I found the old map in the school's archive, and perhaps this is the first time we're following the original route from 40 years ago." The ship departed at 6:12 a.m. The weather was eerily calm. The river's surface was as still as glass. No wind, no waves, not a single bird passed overhead. The first cheers from the students rang out from the ship's deck, cheerful and carefree like any school outing. But as the ship rounded the third bend, every electronic signal, satellite, GPS, and radio communication went dead at once. In the logbook of a technical crew member, discovered 15 years later, there was only one brief entry: no location data. Ship still drifting, but the map no longer matches. The bends, the rocks, they don't seem to exist. Inside the control cabin, Captain Henry Amos, a man with 30 years of navigation experience, was reportedly heard attempting emergency radio contact 9 times over a span of 7 minutes before the entire ship's electrical system abruptly lost connection. The red alert lights turned gray. All digital maps went completely blank. The magnetic field meter registered an absolute deviation, something that, according to theory, only occurs within distorted spatial zones or during extremely strong seismic events. Yet the water remained calm, just as it had been at the dock. The last recorded communication was from Ms. Cross's satellite phone, an unsent SMS message that read, "We are no longer in the same place." In the 3 days that followed, no signal was ever received from Morning Sparrow. Authorities launched a 41-day search operation involving 8 reconnaissance aircraft, 3 rescue ships, and military support. No wreckage was found, no oil slicks, no distress calls, no black box, and no thermal signals from the riverbed. It was as if the entire ship and all 365 people on board had simply vanished. On the final day of the operation, a reconnaissance pilot named Haruko Mizuki captured a strange photo from the air, an image that would later become the center of controversy. Amidst the vast water surface appeared a spiral-shaped flash resembling the eye of a storm, but it lasted only 0.6 seconds before disappearing from radar. Infrared analysis showed a sudden temperature drop at the location, a decrease of 18 degrees within just 3 seconds, then returning to normal. The incident's data was quickly classified as unexplainable, and all related records were transferred to the Canadian Department of Defense's Information Control Division. Families of the students were told it was a river accident with no recoverable remains. But no one believed that explanation. 15 years later, in 2022, an independent expedition group uncovered fragments of a memory thought to have been lost to time. If a ship can enter a body of water that no longer aligns with any map, then the real question is, where did the people go? August 14th, 2022. An independent research team from Norway, led by oceanographer Dr. Pascal Reeve, conducted a survey of a deep water zone in the eastern region of Lake Larchmouth, a location unmarked on any geographic map and only known through vague accounts from local fishermen in the Coachella River area. They called it the Silent Chamber, an oval-shaped lake roughly 2 kilometers long, with no visible inlets or outlets, and most notably, no known biological life beneath the surface. Reeves' team arrived with a completely different objective: to study geomagnetic wave patterns in quiet zones for comparison with data collected in Antarctica back in 1998. But just 4 hours after deploying a frequency buoy into the lake's central core, they discovered something that Reeve recorded in his own voice. "We're receiving a repeating extremely low-frequency signal, a kind of ancient clock wave lasting 2.2 seconds per cycle. It's not geological. It has rhythm." An unmanned device named Calypso 5 was deployed to a depth of 47 meters. There, they saw a large object lying motionless in the cold lakebed silt, a curved structure covered in algae over 120 meters long, clearly the body of a steel ship. Its exterior shape matched 94% of the Morning Sparrow, a vessel lost 15 years earlier. But the bizarre part, there was no metal corrosion, no signs of sinking. The hull remained intact, as if it had never crashed, never spent more than a few days underwater. The Calypso 5's camera recorded a small object stuck in root-fused mud, about 7 meters from the ship's bow. A digital camera lightly oxidized, but with the memory card intact. After retrieval, the tech team managed to recover just one single image. In the photo, all 350 students and 15 adults stood on the deck of the Morning Sparrow, waving and smiling brightly. Behind them, dense jungle. Sunlight glittered. But what defied explanation? Every face in the photo was blurred, not due to camera shake nor data corruption. Every other detail, shoelaces, school logos, the glint of sunlight, was crystal clear, down to the pixel. A high-resolution AI imaging specialist attempted to reconstruct the faces using machine learning algorithms, but the program returned the same message repeatedly. No identifiable data. Facial segments have been biologically encrypted. On the back of the photo, scribbled in black marker, was a handwritten message. "If anyone finds this, don't pass through the light a second time. It won't return to the same place." Under a microscope, the ink was found to contain an unknown chemical composition. No carbon base, unreactive to acids or alkalis, something Dr. Reeve described as a form of matter not present in the current periodic table. That same day, the team's magnetic anomaly station recorded a sudden fluctuation lasting 0.5 seconds. At that moment, all electronic equipment in the research tents abruptly shut down, except for one infrared night camera with backup battery, which captured a single frame. The lake surface above the sunken ship had caved inward, as if being pulled, forming a tight circular whirlpool, but it did not ripple outward like normal physical phenomena. Thermal analysis revealed that the vortex zone measured -17 degrees Celsius, while surrounding water remained at 12 degrees Celsius. Dr. Reeve recorded a warning, never released publicly. "I believe this is not merely a lake. It is a fold, a place where space and time collapse onto one another. And the Morning Sparrow passed through a fissure no one should ever touch." Following this incident, Reeve and his team abruptly withdrew from the site. In his report to the International Oceanographic Council, he left only one final line. "It's not that we can't understand what happened, it's that I fear we're about to." If there exists a place where time no longer flows as it should, where a camera holds faces no algorithm can read, then what truly governs the laws of reality as we know them? 7 days after detecting the signal and discovering the camera, Dr. Pascal Reeve's team temporarily halted their operations on Lake Larchmouth. But soon after, a hidden data transmission was received from an auxiliary unmanned device named AURA-7, which had been deployed to scan for infrared heat signatures at the lakebed. What it sent back was a 44-second audio signal, unlike anything ever documented in geological, biological, or digital records. The sound wasn't animal, mineral resonance, or electronic. Its frequency exceeded the human hearing range, but when scaled down to the standard 432 Hz for analysis, it revealed a rhythmic structure, like a language. It didn't just emit sound, it seemed to be calling something back. During the playback in a soundproof room, when Pascal and 2 technicians listened to the cleaned recording, something strange occurred. All 3 experienced a sudden and synchronized drop in heart rate, even though room temperature and pressure remained stable. One person fainted, another vomited fresh blood. Pascal gasped for air, his eyes reddened, and he muttered unconsciously over and over, "The door! The door! It's opening!" That night, the team deployed Calypso 5 again, this time following the direction of the signal. At a depth of 73 meters, sonar reflected a curved rock wall with engraved patterns, clearly not natural, but carved by human hands or something resembling them. The camera captured it clearly, a horizontal oval door on the lake bed, covered in ancient algae, yet the patterns were bizarrely sharp. The engravings formed a spiral shape, reminiscent of ancient Babylonian geometry, interlaced with undeciphered symbols. The center of the door glowed faintly blue, not flickering, not emitting heat, but spectrometers recorded it as not light at all, but a pseudo-luminescent phenomenon. As Calypso 5 approached within 1.4 meters of the door, the audio signal returned, this time lasting nearly 3 minutes. The waveform segment was fed into an AI system developed by the MIT team for ancient phonetic decryption. The result, disjointed but chilling phrases, "Where dreams are buried alive," "There is no death, only pause," "You were not invited." Suddenly, the camera feed cut off. When the signal returned, Calypso 5 had been moved 17 meters away from the door, as if pushed back by an unknown force. There were no signs of mechanical collision, no current. Pascal Reeve wrote in his log that day, "We didn't find the door. The door found us." In the final recorded frame from the auxiliary device, one detail appeared for just a single frame, a figure passing behind the stone, humanoid but eyeless, with skin the color of mercury and elongated limbs. It moved through the water at an estimated 96 kilometers per hour, a speed nearly impossible underwater. All data from that day was encrypted and stored in an isolated system. Yet that very night, 7 out of 12 electronic devices in the research tent short-circuited without any electrical surge. Even more strangely, every wristwatch on the team stopped at 3:27 a.m., exactly the moment Calypso 5 neared the door. After 48 hours of deliberation, Pascal's team withdrew from Lake Larchmouth. In his report, he did not confirm finding a sunken vessel. He simply wrote a single sentence that would chill every reader who saw it. The vessel didn't sink. It stopped in a layer of time we were never meant to touch. If there is a door beneath the lake, one that doesn't lead anywhere in this world, do you have the courage to open it just to know that something is waiting on the other side? 3 weeks after withdrawing from Larchmouth Lake, a biological monitoring device named Helion, previously deployed to scan for deep biosignals, began transmitting strange readings, what the technical team called unidentified vital oscillation pulses. Over a span of 7 hours, the instruments detected 52 human biosignatures appearing at depths between 68 to 73 meters, just outside a zone known as the Stone Gate. These signals were stable with consistent heart rates, but showed an unusual electrophysiological frequency, 38% slower than normal human rates, and completely unchanging for the full 180-minute scan. They decided not to deploy any additional equipment. Instead, the data was immediately sent to the Canadian Bureau of Research into Biological Phenomena, CBRI. A special intervention unit was dispatched. Leading the team was Dr. Leona Fjord, a neuropsychobiologist and expert in cases of post-temporal psychosomatic responses, a term that has never publicly appeared in any medical literature. On September 22, 2022, after 6 hours of operating hydraulic lift and pressure control systems, the recovery team managed to bring up a sealed metal chamber from the lake. This chamber was embedded within the sunken vessel's structure, secured by 2 layers of airtight doors. When opened, silence fell. Inside were 52 students wearing Erinsdale High School uniforms. Their hair and clothes showed no signs of decay. Their bodies were dry. None showed symptoms of illness or oxygen deprivation. Their eyes were wide open, yet vacant. Upon physical contact, all of them inhaled at the exact same moment, as if something had just rebooted. It resembled a scene played in reverse, the moment of awakening from a deep sleep. Except this sleep had lasted 15 years. When taken to a secluded medical facility, the test results were shocking. Their biological age was frozen at the moment they went missing. No further development in height, muscle mass, or bone marrow activity. They did not dream during sleep. No memories. No recollection of names, parents, or even themselves. Some reacted to bright light, as if emerging from decades of darkness. Only one student was able to speak, a 14-year-old boy named Ellis McCrae. When asked, "Do you know what happened?" he answered in an almost emotionless tone, "We weren't in there that long. Over there, there's no time." When Dr. Leona asked, "Where is there?" he replied slowly, It's the place where your thoughts take shape before you know you're thinking. A place with no yesterday. Everything just is. Doctors conducted an EEG scan on Ellis and discovered his brainwaves were no longer phase-separated, a state believed to only exist in fetuses before the neural networks responsible for memory formation are developed. This suggests Ellis was functioning in a precognitive state of consciousness, where there is no concept of self and not self, no boundary between memory and present moment. But everything truly changed when Ellis was shown a photograph of the other students. He suddenly whispered, "They haven't been called back yet. The others. It's not their time." That sentence stunned the entire research team. Until that moment, no one dared believe that the other 298 students weren't dead, but simply hadn't returned, and that perhaps some process was choosing. That night, at 3:27 a.m., a hospital bed surveillance camera recorded Ellis standing up, eyes open and unblinking, staring directly into the camera and uttering a phrase in an unidentifiable language. After being processed through quantum linguistic analysis tools, a single translated line appeared. "We are not done. Do not sever the line." Immediately afterward, all cameras in the room shut down at once. When medical staff entered, Ellis was lying still, eyes closed, heartbeat normal, as if he had never awoken. In Dr. Leona's confidential report to CBRI, she wrote, "These 52 children are still human, but something inside them no longer belongs to the world as we know it. If you were to meet a loved one who disappeared 15 years ago, but they were no longer who they used to be, would you keep them or let them return to the place where humanity no longer applies?" After the 52 students were transferred to the third-level biological isolation ward at the Multi-Layered Consciousness Analysis Center, MTCA, a confidential research facility under the Canadian Bureau of Biological Phenomena, doctors and scientists began conducting comprehensive neurological, psychological, and biological tests. All the data yielded results beyond existing scientific theory. Yet the most shocking findings didn't come from their blood, heart, or cells. It came from their dreams. None of the 52 students exhibited any REM phase, the stage in which the human brain generates dream imagery. EEG brainwave monitors recorded a flat static line throughout every sleep cycle. No dreams, no hallucinations, no memory recall, and none of the students, despite being administered neural stimulants or exposed to auditory cues, showed any response to known emotional or cognitive triggers. A young researcher, Dr. Isla Varan, formerly of the Harvard Institute of Consciousness, exclaimed after 3 days of analysis, "These children aren't sleeping, they're switching off." When psychologists attempted to trigger deep memory recall using sound and scent therapy, one girl named Leora, the youngest of the group, broke into tears during the night. But strangely, tears fell, yet her pupils did not dilate. In a dazed state, she whispered a single sentence, "We were taught not to remember. No one is allowed to remember. No one." Immediately after she spoke, all 5 ceiling lights in the medical room flickered simultaneously and went dark for 4 seconds. When the lights came back on, ECG monitors for 3 other students in the room spiked to 160 beats per minute, even though they remained asleep. An unexplainable consciousness resonance effect had emerged. To probe further, an unpublished experiment was conducted. A direct neural interface was established between one student and an AI memory simulation system. The goal was for the AI to replicate any stored brain data, even from the unconscious mind. But during the first session, the AI's display showed neither image nor sound, only a single spiraling glyph repeating endlessly, resembling the symbol once seen on the stone door beneath the lake. As soon as the symbol appeared, a faint metallic screech echoed from the speaker system, despite the equipment being disconnected from any audio source. The sound lasted exactly 19 seconds, causing the entire research team to evacuate the room, overwhelmed by nausea, headaches, and the sensation of their inner ears being crushed under deep water pressure. An hour later, the AI system reanalyzed the signal and found it embedded with a repeating code. "Awakening is an error." Severed the circuit. Following this incident, 7 of the 18 researchers involved in the project simultaneously requested to withdraw. One of them, Professor Lawrence Keyes, left behind a handwritten journal entry before departing. "I'm not afraid of what we've seen. I'm afraid of what's seeing through us." These children didn't come back alone. A closed-door medical council was held. The final decision, marked top secret, was that the 52 students would not be returned to their families, as their conscious states were deemed no longer verifiably human from a cognitive standpoint. Yet on that very night, a surveillance camera in the medical ward captured a chilling moment. All 52 children sat up simultaneously. No one spoke. No one looked at one another. They simply sat, eyes open, unblinking, lips moving, no sound. The ceiling light trembled, and from above, a soft knocking sound, as if someone was tapping from the other side. If the human mind is the final door keeping us anchored to this world, then once it's altered, are you still you? On November 17th, 2022, exactly 56 days after 52 students were placed in the biological quarantine facility, an emergency meeting was held at the command center of the Canadian Bureau of Biological Phenomena Research. No one disclosed the reason for the summons, but all files and data channels related to the Morning Sparrow case were immediately transferred to Hades-level absolute isolation, a security protocol rarely used, even for undisclosed aerospace events. A 74-second video was shown with no audio. The footage from an internal security camera showed a medical staff member named Reese Mallory entering room 9, where a young girl named Leora was being treated. Reese adjusted the EEG monitor and leaned in to say something to Leora, but then, for a single moment, her eyes opened wide, pupils fully dilated, and something that was not a child's voice came from her mouth. Disconnect. Terminate transmission. 2 seconds later, Reese's heart stopped. No stroke, no physical trauma. His heart simply shut down, as if a switch had been flipped. The medical report stated, cause of death, undetermined. No physiological resistance observed. The incident prompted the monitoring team to review the EEG data. What they found had never been recorded in the history of neuroscience. At the exact moment Reese collapsed, the brainwaves of all 52 children vanished simultaneously, a complete blank lasting 2 minutes and 12 seconds. When the signals returned, the children continued sleeping as if nothing had happened. But during that blank interval, a radio wave sensor in the control room captured a single transmission on a frequency once reserved for Cold War-era military satellites. The decoded signal read, "The chosen have remained. They no longer belong to you." Experts began to propose a terrifying hypothesis. Was a collective consciousness operating through these children? And if so, where were the remaining 298 students? To find answers, they revisited sonar data from August 14th, the day Dr. Reeves' team first discovered the submerged vessel. In the raw scans, there was a 3D sonar image dismissed as rock layer interference. Upon reanalysis, it turned out to be a massive spiral-shaped metallic structure nearly 400 meters deep, surrounded by low thermal bubbles, regions where the temperature was below freezing, yet water remained liquid. At the center of this structure, 298 static biological signals. No movement, no change, but not dead. Every robotic probe sent below 212 meters lost signal. That zone was marked inaccessible, not due to physical danger, but because the data returned with no concept of time. Time didn't exist there. One group proposed exposing the remaining 52 students to an image of the spiral structure. The experiment took place on December 1st. Within 7 seconds of displaying the image, all students collapsed to their knees, eyes shut, and chanted a single unknown word in unison. The sound was recorded, but most devices could not retain the format. Only one magnetic tape survived and was decoded after 2 days. The phrase was, "The gate is closed. Outsiders are not to be called back." Immediately after, a chain reaction occurred. All 52 children fell into a deep coma. Their hearts still beat. They continued to breathe, but their consciousness was gone. Dr. Leona Fjord wrote in her final report, "They are not asleep. They are not dead. They are being held like a door left ajar. Part of them remains on the other side, and the price of knowing what happened is that none of us can still call them human." The entire treatment wing was placed under indefinite lockdown. Project Morning Sparrow was sealed. No families were notified. No media outlet ever learned of the 52 who returned. Only a single leaked journal entry survived, believed to be written by a night shift technician from the quarantine facility. He wrote, "I still hear tapping on the observation glass, even when no one's inside. Every night at 3:27 a.m., a whisper says, "They will return, but not to be saved." If part of you was left in a place with no time, no memory, no dreams, is the part still here, still truly you?